Do you remember that time I dunked on TV in front of Shaq? Yeah, I'm doing that again. Now, I know I've been doing a great job at keeping you all in the dark with what I've been doing since last year, so let's recap. I got injured, but not in some freak accident. It was more of a ticking time bomb. To understand, we gotta go back a little. I got really into dunking back in 2023 when I happened to run into Jordan Kilgannon at a random gym. And did some dunks. I then attended my first dunk camp and was pretty much hooked. I jumped in with both feet. Literally. I got on with THP strength. I trained hard and jumped a lot. I met some guys called the Utah State Dunkers who shortly after meeting recruited me to their ranks, and we were rebranded the Utah Dunkers. We did some dunk contests together and met up pretty much weekly to dunk. Everything was awesome. Enter knee pain. I'd never had knee pain before, and I didn't really know what to do with it. So I did what any smart athlete would do. I ignored it. Yeah, it got worse. Good old jumper's knee. Turns out it doesn't like being ignored. Started out in just one knee, then the other one caught it too. It got to the point where I felt like if I jumped one more time, my knees would explode. That was about the point I decided to end my 2+ hour jump session. Yeah, real smart. I know. So I decided to tell my coach over at THP that I caught the terrible patellar tendonitis disease and my life was over. Yeah, well, he had some good news. Apparently, most dunkers suffer from the same disease, and it's curable if you take care of it. At the time, I tended to not be very good at that type of thing. But nonetheless, my coach knew what he was doing, and he was able to get me back to jumping pain-free. So now I could go back to dunking whenever I wanted with no warm-up. Or so I thought. Naturally, the knee pain came back. So I tried that whole recovery thing again, and then I destroyed my knees again. And then I did it again. I think you know where I'm going with this. I repeated that same pain train cycle for a while. Meanwhile, driving a semi-truck anywhere from 10 to 14 hours a day to pay the bills. I'm sure you can imagine all that sitting wasn't great for my knees either. But I continued to jump and train anyway. Fast forward a little bit, I started a piloting business with my wife. But not that kind of piloting. Piloting for oversized loads like these, in cars like these. We were the cars you've all given the bird a time or two on the interstate. This work had its perks, getting to travel the country together and getting paid to do it, but it also had its downsides. The biggest one being no time to dunk or train. Despite my best efforts, it just didn't line up. So we ground away pretty consistently for about a year over the road with little to no dunking. That was when I had to make a decision. Keep driving and chasing money, or go back home and pursue my dreams of dunking. With the help of my amazing wife, Allie, I decided that pursuing dunking was what I really wanted to do. So we came home and we let the piloting business go. At this point, I started coaching some high schoolers on a track team, as well as doing some of my own jump coaching for some kids with my good friend Josh in our business called Dunk School. All this coaching naturally came with my trainees wanting to see what I could do. And well, how could I resist? So, despite my best efforts to keep my knees healthy, I was randomly jumping and doing stunts to show off. So, the knees remained pissed off. Now, Dunk Camp 2025 was coming up, and every year, Dunk Camp hosts a dunk contest on the last day. This year, the winner of that contest would qualify to go to a FIBA 3x3 contest. FIBA, if you don't know, is a very well-known traveling basketball 3-on-3 competition. At each of these competitions, they also host a dunk contest, the winner of which gets a fat check. So, naturally, I had to get there. I trained hard and dunked a lot, again, pushing my knees to the back burner. Dunk camp came, and after dunking 3 days in a row, it was time for the dunk contest. My time to shine. I did flips. I wore a custom jersey. I pulled out an elbow dunk. I did everything I could. But at the end of the day, the competition was strong, and my performance fell just shy of the win. I felt devastated. I started to question if pursuing dunking was the wrong decision. But no, I couldn't give up that easy. At the end of every dunk camp, all the pros who coached that camp put on a public dunk show. And before this show starts, all the campers get the opportunity to dunk in front of the crowd. So I put my head back up and brought my all to the pre-show. Keep in mind, this is now my second time of the day dunking, after 3 days in a row of also dunking. But I was still able to throw down some good dunks. Good enough, in fact, that after the pre-show, the host of dunk camp pulled me aside and informed me that one of the pros had just been injured during warm-ups and could no longer dunk that night. He wanted me to fill his spot in the pro show. Huh? What? Me? I'm not a pro dunker. So I told him no and I went home. I'm kidding. Are you crazy? I said heck yes. I then warmed back up for the third time of the day. But the thrill of the crowd and just being surrounded by pros, adrenaline just carried me. And it carried me pretty well. I was able to make a new dunk. It's called the Crown. And to my knowledge, I am the shortest person to ever hit this dunk on a legit 10-foot rim. The crowd went wild, and everyone was impressed. I myself was mind blown. And after the show, kids lined up to take pictures with me and give my autograph as if I was one of the pros. This was pretty much the best feeling ever, especially after being so disappointed earlier. So my spark for dunking was relit, brighter than ever. Fast forward a couple months. Dunkman, the biggest dunk contest in the world, hosted by none other than Shaquille O'Neal, broadcast on national television, was interested in me to potentially be one of 38 dunkers to compete. I was ecstatic. After weeks of waiting for confirmation, it came! I was officially on the roster. I knew this was the big break I needed, which meant I should probably get my knees under control. I focused hard on rehab, but it just wasn't enough time. I only had 4 weeks to prepare, and that just barely scratched the surface. So, with compression sleeves, ibuprofen, and way too much pre-workout, I was still able to perform when it counted. I was thrilled with how well I did. If you haven't seen Dunkman Season 1 yet, I made it as far as semifinals before missing a dunk and going back home. After returning home from Dunkman, I logged right back in on rehab for my knees. Working with my coach, we found that the damage went much deeper than just jumper's knee. I'm talking problems with my MCLs, LCLs, quad tendons, patellar fat pads, and even some hamstring tendons. And to add to all the fun, my Achilles tendon started flaring up too. We had some digging to do to figure out what was causing all these problems and how to fix them. But luckily my coach is a genius and was able to help me track it all down. It turns out I had extremely tight hips from driving trucks so many hours every day for years, and collapsed arches in both of my feet, which meant I had been walking, jumping, and training wrong for a while. We definitely had to start from the bottom. So I dropped weight down to almost nothing, just to get to a spot where it was pain-free, and began the long journey of working my way back up, undoing all the damage I had done over the years, and building a stronger base for the future. So for the last 9 months, that is all I have been doing. I even had a few false freedoms along the way, where I thought I was back, but had actually jumped the gun and pushed back my progress a little bit. However, after each of these times, put my head back up, and I kept grinding. It has been a journey, to say the least. After enduring the process of literally rebirthing my jumping abilities since September of 2025, I'm proud to announce Height Check is officially back to jumping max effort. My knee and Achilles pain is under control. Not completely gone yet, but with my newfound, yet very hard-earned, professional outlook on dunking, I'm confident that the pain will be completely gone very soon. Now to get to what I have coming. I am officially on the roster for the Dunkman League. This is new. It's not the same as last year's show. This is an official league where all the competition will be broadcast live as it happens. I now have just weeks left to finish getting ready for this first round of competition. I have been working harder than ever, and I have some big things planned for this year. Anyway, thank you for listening to my story, and I gotta get back to work.